Down rule, a fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt causes the fight to end within 4 rounds, it's a no decision. After 4 rounds, they go to the scorecard. If a punch causes a cut, the injured fighter can't continue. He loses by TKO. So let's get it back to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, live across the UK on ITV1 and across America on Showtime, a very good evening to you and welcome to the MEN Arena here in Manchester, England, for the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Frank Warren Sports Network and Gary Shaw Productions in association with Showtime, as sponsored by News of the World, Big on Boxing, and Namaroff. This unification bout is sanctioned by the WBO President and Supervisor Francisco Valcarcel and the IBF President Mary Mohammed, Supervisor Lindsay Tucker, along with the British Boxing Board of Control, the stewards in charge, Charles Giles and Lord Brooks of Tremorfa. Timekeepers at the bell also keeping count of the knockdowns, Colin Roberts and Gary Brennan. And introducing to you our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. From Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States, Adelaide Bird. From London, England, Roy Francis. And from San Juan, Puerto Rico, Nelson Vasquez. And introducing to you, ladies and gentlemen, our 3rd man in the ring, working in this, his 90th world title bout, Raul Cais Sr. All right, fans, here we go. The time has come for the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the unified super middleweight championship of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from Manchester, England, it's showtime! Introducing to you first on my right, the WBO champion, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks with white trim, hailing from Newbridge, South Wales. He weighed in at an even 12 stone, 168 U.S. pounds. He is undefeated in his illustrious campaign in the ring with 40 wins, no losses, 31 wins coming by way of knockout tonight. He is making the 18th defense of his title. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the undefeated WBO super middleweight champion of the world. Please welcome the pride of Wales, introducing Joe Calzaghe. And his opponent across the ring, the IBF and IBO world champion on my left, fighting out of the red corner, entering the ring wearing red, white, and blue trunks and fighting out of St. Petersburg, Florida, in the United States. His weight 11 stone, 13 pounds, for 167 U.S. pounds. He is a U.S. Olympian, undefeated in the professional ranks with a record of 21 wins, no losses, 1 no decision, with 17 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, his 6th appearance of the world title. Here is the undefeated IBF and IBO middleweight champion of the world, introducing Jeff Lacy. Once again, a referee in charge, Raul Cais Sr. now to give instructions, 12 rounds of boxing schedule.
All right, gentlemen, the time you've been waiting for is here. The opportunity of a lifetime, so remember, take advantage. You had your instructions, bone here, right here is fine, both you got it trunks high. Shake hands, good luck to both of you.
To this point, two invincible world champions with a combined 61 wins and 48 knockouts. Calzaghe, a fast starter. Lacy generally more deliberate, but look for Lacy to get right to it. Not so much to take the crowd out of it, he says, but because he has found that southpaws can't fight backing up or with added pressure. And as Al pointed out, the keys, watch for the Lacy uppercut, which worked so well when he won the belt versus lefty Sid Vanderpool, who squared up a lot like Calzaghe. Oh, a straight right hand there by Jeff Lacy, and immediately Calzaghe looks to tie Lacy up. And then a right hook to the head by Calzaghe.
This is a smaller ring than Joe Calzaghe wanted. It's 20 feet inside. He wanted 22 or 24 to give himself more maneuverability. We'll see if that's a fact.
The feeling that Calzaghe better off staying on the outside for the most part and using his boxing ability and speed. And of course, Lacy wants to bring the fight to Calzaghe and make it messy on the inside.
Another issue to look for, remember Joe Calzaghe broke his left hand in his last fight. He's not had a tune-up in which to test it. Now early on, Calzaghe's using the jab very well.
How important, Al, is it for Lacy to kick it up a notch and really jump on Calzaghe early?
He wants the pressure early, but I'll tell you what, so far, Joe Calzaghe's responding very well when they are in the inside, tying him up.
That's a heavy right to the midsection by Jeff Lacy.
Great uppercut by Joe Calzaghe. I think he got Lacy's attention with that uppercut. I think he heard it.
Lacy a little shaky here in the opening round of the countering by Calzaghe. Calzaghe continues to wail away. Lacy has shown a warrior spirit in the past, a warrior mentality. He has faced adversity well, and early adversity here. What a surprise, Al. He seems to have gathered himself and weathered it.
Oh, yeah.
40 seconds left in what has turned out to be an interesting opening round.
As advertised. And we talked about Lacy's uppercut. Calzaghe's the one that got it in and ripped. And that right hook is landing for Calzaghe.
The accuracy and timing of Joe Calzaghe is doing it here in the first round.
Remember, though, as he pointed out, Lacy's been here before.
There's a right hand by Lacy, and Calzaghe comes right back, willing to trade with Lacy, which could be dangerous. But Calzaghe continues to score and gets this crowd going. There's the punch volume of Calzaghe. A great first round by the Welshman.
Who defends it?
Get off with the jab right hand, not just a jab, all right? Okay. 1, 2. When he drops his hands like that,
okay,
a quick jab and a right hand, bang, quick, speed.
I got him. I know you do. I know you do.
What we got, Lou?
You got him. He's got an angel right. Don't worry about it. Let him do his work. All right.
Joe Calzaghe landing as Jeff Lacy tried to come in, landed a good right hand, but then Calzaghe would counter with a great uppercut as Lacy left himself open, and that was the good work by Lacy. Now later on, the uppercut by Joe Calzaghe gets in and stuns Lacy. There's a nice right hand, but it's the uppercut that does the most damage, and from that point on, Lacy wasn't quite the same fighter in this round.
Lacy with a bloody nose. The result of Joe Calzaghe's work in the first round. So let's see how the second round picks up after an excellent first round by the hometown product.
Now, except for the overhand right that landed by Lacy, that was exactly the round Calzaghe had hoped for. And the intriguing thing is, on the inside, who's fighting better so far? It's Calzaghe. Yeah.
He's landing those uppercuts with regularity on Lacy. Has Lacy underestimated Calzaghe's speed and power? He thinks that Calzaghe slapped with his punches. Calzaghe says, okay, I slapped my way to 31 knockouts.
Now remember, Lacy was hurt early against Ross Thompson, against Omar Shika, and came back, but they're not Joe Calzaghe.
And Calzaghe stopped Shika in the 5th. So Jeff Lacy looking to rebound after a difficult first round.
And no jabs from Jeff Lacy, and Dan Birmingham wants that punch from him. Even against the lefty, it can help him get on the inside.
Calzaghe continues to hold on to Lacy to try to thwart the attack. Another good shot by Calzaghe.
The Calzaghe uppercut is the story of this fight so far, not Lacy's, which we thought might be the case.
Past the midway point, round 2. Straight left hand by Calzaghe is blocked.
No combinations from Jeff Lacy, and that's been what's missing here in this fight for him.
Lacy trying to pull his way in, but Calzaghe able to sidestep his way. There's the jab by Calzaghe.
Worse than anything for Jeff Lacy, he's pushing his punches. He's really not throwing them well.
Now, this is not the Jeff Lacy we have seen up to this point. 21-0, 1 no decision, 17 knockouts. The ring savvy and guile of Joe Calzaghe, the boxing ability, and that stiff uppercut. There's a combination to the head by Calzaghe. Calzaghe again with a flurry, and he smiles at Lacy as he is in command. Lacy with a very frustrated look on his face.
From a technical standpoint, this is the worst Jeff Lacy so far we've seen in the last 6 fights.
Joe Calzaghe controlling the first 2 rounds. Banging away with the left. Scoring at will. You don't want to be against the ropes against Lacy, but it's Calzaghe winning that battle.
Have a drink. Don't do it with your hands still down there, right? Okay? Stiffen the jab off. Stiffen the jab, all right? Everything okay? Yeah. $1,000,000. Let's say break, you gotta let go. Stiffen the jab, Joe. Stiffen the jab. But straighten your feet when you stiffen it, so you've got the left arm ready for him. Yeah.
Jeff Lacy is leaning his head in, leaving it wide open, even though he squared up to Lacy, which is what Lacy wanted. Calzaghe's the one landing the uppercut, and then how about the foot movement, getting out of danger. This is a clinic for so far for Joe Calzaghe.
Calzaghe just brimming with confidence. It's in his body language as we get set for round 3. The first 2 rounds belong to Joe Calzaghe. This to unify the super middleweight title. And again, Lacy with Calzaghe on the ropes, but it's Calzaghe getting the better of the 2 with that amazing hand speed.
And now Lacy at least is trying to rip those left hooks to the body instead of just the head. But Calzaghe fighting well off the rope.
But right hooks to the head by Calzaghe are scoring. Continues to frustrate Lacy, and he turned him right around. What a work rate by Calzaghe. Lining him up.
The other big story here is that physically we thought Lacy might be stronger on the inside than Calzaghe. That's not true. Calzaghe's pushing him around so far.
Straight left hand by Joe Calzaghe, and a right uppercut on the inside by Calzaghe.
Calzaghe is one danger, though. He looks like he wants to throw those uppercuts from way outside, and that's a dangerous thing to do. He's got to be careful. There he did it again.
But Calzaghe coming at Lacy from all angles like an octopus, smothering Lacy with punches, but Lacy can turn a fight with one punch, as you know. But so far, he can't catch Calzaghe. Amazing work by Calzaghe, who has Lacy to this point in his hip pocket. And he gets this crowd behind him.
The other big headline of this fight is the foot movement of Calzaghe. Much better, I think, than most people expected. Moving to his right like he's supposed to.
Lacy now starting to look a little tired. Almost every punch Calzaghe offers is scoring.
Even body shots by Calzaghe are, and those could have a big impact.
He's taking the steam out of Lacy, and that could really impact if this fight goes deeper. First take the body, then the head as blood streaks from the nose of Lacy. Calzaghe continues to pepper away at the head of Lacy. Here's a straight left that gets through the guard of Lacy. Then a combination by Calzaghe. It's all Calzaghe. He's making Lacy look like an amateur.
When you're inside like that, give him a little push. Give him a little push. Get him off balance and punch. Come on, Jeff. You're just trying to bomb everything. Come on. Stiff jab and move. You've got 4 rounds in the bag. Now listen now. Are you listening? You'll pick him up again. And you dismantle him. You'll try and fold him out. Listen now. Okay? Are you with me? Are you going to let him? Can you street still walk? Yeah. Your jab is starting to bring it up. Your jab is starting to weaken, right? You get a big jab. Tight jab, right? Don't come to it. Long leg jab. Long leg jab.
Dan Birmingham telling Jeff Lacy he's just throwing too many bombs, and he's given away the first 3 rounds, while Calzaghe's been very effective hitting, spinning, and moving, and ducking under Lacy's big punches throughout the first 3 rounds.
You know, Jeff Lacy has lived down, if you will, to the stereotype that the Calzaghe people were trying to make of him. A guy that just throws 1 punch at a time and a bomb and doesn't put punches together.
Lacy unleashed a big left uppercut there, but again, he's spun around by Calzaghe, who takes command. Uppercuts, everything coming from Calzaghe, his entire repertoire.
Now, the caveat we've got to throw out is, remember, Jeff Lacy has enormous power. He can turn a fight in 1 punch, and that's something you have to keep in the back of your mind, despite the fact that Calzaghe has been so dominant to this point.
But it's just the 4th round. And it's been all Joe Calzaghe to this point. Blood around the right eye of Lacy, might have been from a butt. So blood from the nose and around the right eye. He has had problems with the left eye in the past. Now there's blood around both eyes, but it might be the blood from the right eye coming over to the left eye.
And I believe the referee, Raul Caez, showed that it was a punch. So we'll find that out, but I thought he demonstrated that.
Halfway through the 4th, and it continues to be all Calzaghe. Blood flying from the head of Lacy.
If Jeff Lacy, he's missing all those punches to the head. I know Dan Birmingham would like him to go to the body first. At least that would help him get some range and land some punches. He's missing all those punches to the head.
When was the last time we saw Lacy's face all bloodied like this? It's usually on the face of his opponent. A very rare sight.
Well, this 20-foot ring is working out just fine so far for Joe Calzaghe. Plenty of room for him to maneuver, and that maneuverability is helping him.
Yeah, it was thought that the smaller ring would have benefited Lacy. Originally, they wanted a 22-foot ring, Calzaghe's people. Calzaghe all over Jeff Lacy.
Those punches from Lacy are pushed. They're not thrown with conviction. That, I think, is the really bad news for him right now. He's not throwing punches that can knock someone out.
Not what Jeff Lacy had in mind tonight in the final seconds of round 4. And a beautiful jab followed up by a straight left by Calzaghe, and the combination. Everything landing by Calzaghe, getting through the defense of the very vulnerable Jeff Lacy.
What round?
He's fine. He's fine. I'm sure he's okay.
He headbutting over there. Held the headbutt.
Here is where we believe the cut happened. It looks like a clash of heads actually there, if in fact that's where it did happen. But Raul Caez was on the other side. He couldn't really see, and so I think he thought it was a punch. Well, the uppercut from Calzaghe has been the main story in this fight, along with the hand speed. He is throwing tremendous uppercuts. Those punches hurt more than any other punch in boxing, and Jeff Lacy has eaten them all night.
Boy, they continue to scramble in the Lacy corner moments before the bell will ring to start round 5. Try to patch up that cut.
Come on, champ. Come on, Jeff.
So an anxious moment there in the Lacy corner. And Jeff Lacy has to turn this thing around because he is down 4 rounds to nothing.
And, you know, it was hard to tell, even on our replay, punching and the heads going in. So it may have come for a punch, that cut. Either way, that's how it's ruled.
But the heads did come together, as we saw in the replay.
Oh, nice right hand by Lacy. That's the best punch he's thrown in 3 rounds.
Lacy on the attack, but he is getting tagged and pushed around by Calzaghe. Calzaghe, one after another.
Clinton Woods, the IBF light heavyweight champion, picked Calzaghe and said Calzaghe will beat him with his hand speed, and around 5 or 6, I could picture Jeff Lacy against the ropes, getting beaten up and the referee stopping the fight. We'll see if he's got a premonition. Calzaghe say it's true, but we'll see.
He is targeting Clinton Woods if he gets past Jeff Lacy.
Woods, we should point out, is an Englishman. But guess what? He's looking good right now, he's predicting.
Not a surprise along press row. Claude Abrams from Boxing News, John Cody from the St. Petersburg Times, Colin Hart from the Sun.
And of course I would concur with that story.
Blood coming down the back of Calzaghe, but that is from the face of Lacy.
Jeff Lacy's effort tonight has been devoid of combinations, and I think that is a big, big part of his lack of success.
A lot of punches being thrown by Calzaghe, but no signs of an injured hand. He has had swelling problems with his hand throughout his career. He broke his left hand in his last fight in a tune-up with a journeyman, but he has had nary a cut or a bloody nose his entire pro career. Wild misses by Jeff Lacy, and then the counterattack by Calzaghe. Right off the ear, and then he pushes Lacy away. Gets a caution from Caez. Lacy trying that right uppercut on the inside, but it was smothered by Calzaghe. Again, Calzaghe goes to work.
You know, Calzaghe's dropping his left hand so much, Lacy cannot get the left hook in, even with that right hand at Calzaghe's side. That's astonishing.
That's how confident,
look at that,
Calzaghe is, and then he throws the straight left that scores, and blood continues to streak from the face of Lacy.
I don't know why he's throwing one punch. He's only throwing
One part, no combinations.
Yeah, I'm good.
Panic, don't panic. What? Breathe in, breathe in. I'll go to end start. The ice is back, put the ice on back. We okay with you guys? Everything okay? Yeah. Breathe in. Vaseline.
Not a great round for Jeff Lacy, of course, but a glimmer of hope. This is his best punch, a right hand that kind of pushes Calzaghe back, and that's as good as it gets for Jeff Lacy, but at least it was a glimmer of hope, but the rest of the round dominated by Calzaghe.
Jim Strickland working feverishly in the corner. Dr. David Sim, the chief ringside physician, in there to check the eye of Lacy. Round 6.
Go to work.
And this thing continues to dwindle for Jeff Lacy each round.
Now the issues to think about are twofold. One, Calzaghe continuing this work rate. Number two, the idea that that left hand has to stay healthy in this fight. Those are probably the two main things, and maybe the only things at this juncture that might derail him.
Come on.
Well, it seemed Lacy had more in his favor than Calzaghe coming into this fight. How about this for motivation for Calzaghe? A very expensive divorce. A win here means more lucrative paydays ahead.
A reporter at the press conference said, "You're not totally undefeated. Remember your divorce?" And he laughed.
He said, "You got me on that one."
Lacy not active on the inside. I mean, that's what we've come to here. All the punches coming from Calzaghe.
Another flurry by Joe Calzaghe. Each round a carbon copy of the previous. Lacy has been unable to quell this attack. As Calzaghe continues to unload barrages to the head of Lacy.
And see, in this posture, Jeff Lacy not throwing any punches. He could well be fatigued. Clearly, he's taken a lot of punishment. But if he doesn't work on the inside, Lacy, I don't know how he can win this fight or even get back into it.
And a lot of swelling now beginning to develop underneath the right eye of Jeff Lacy.
The other thing, Steve, is Calzaghe has done all the things Lacy can't hope he would do. He's squared up, he's kept his hands low, but Lacy hasn't been able to take advantage of that.
He also contends that Calzaghe wings his punches wide, but he hasn't been able to take advantage of that either.
And I'll tell you, many of Calzaghe's punches have been straight and right up the middle.
And that was the game plan. That was the blueprint. The jab, combinations, and straight punches for Calzaghe. Like right there, straight, and then the right hook. The hand speed of Joe Calzaghe has been overwhelming. Look at that. Did you hear that? Crunching, cracking punches to the side of Lacy's head with both hands by Calzaghe.
You okay, baby? Yeah, good. You're still looping that right hand too much. You got to straighten it out, Jeff. Listen to me, Jeff. You got to straighten the right hand out. Quick, 1, 2, right behind each other. Bang, bang. Then go to work. Hitting his body, ripping the uppercut. Put your hands together.
When you're inside, you got to push him back and push the punches right up the middle.
Each round has produced this kind of excellent action from Joe Calzaghe. He said he would be able to do this, land good straight punches and keep Jeff Lacy at bay. And of course now Lacy not attacking. Later on in the round we would see more of same. Now here on the inside where Lacy thought he would do all the good work, instead it's Calzaghe. Those are wide punches, but they're getting there and Lacy's not able to counter.
Dan Birmingham telling Lacy, you've got to straighten the right hand. A major sense of urgency in that Lacy corner as we've hit the halfway mark of this huge fight.
All the right great advice from Dan Birmingham, but the problem is, can a Lacy who has absorbed punishment for 6 rounds do it? And now we have to also think about the vision of Lacy with both eyes having issues.
Lacy's nose bloodied in the first, his eye in round 4, his nose bloodied again in round 6. We're in round 7, scheduled for 12 for the IBF and WBO super middleweight title. Jeff Lacy in the red, white, and blue, Joe Calzaghe in the black with the white trim. It has been all Joe Calzaghe to this juncture. Can Lacy come back?
Now, there was an excellent jab from Lacy.
But back comes Calzaghe out.
Oh, man, he got whacked once he got in there. You're right. This is about as sharp as Joe Calzaghe can be. We've seen some of this before, certainly from him, but honestly, he's put together one of the best performances of his career.
Many questions were raised before the fight. Was he an overrated champion? Well, he is certainly silencing a lot of critics thus far. Halfway through the 7th. He has just not allowed Lacy to do anything. He's been in his face all night long. A swarming attack by Calzaghe from the beginning. Beautiful combination upstairs by Calzaghe.
Lacy is now reduced to winging one punch at a time in desperation, and then clearly that is not how he's effective.
We always knew that Lacy's defense was vulnerable, but we also knew he's very hard to hurt. He's got a very tough mentality. He's tough to put down. He's never been down in the pros, but he is getting a beating, a whooping.
You think Joe Calzaghe, not a rough customer in there, using the head a moment ago, and Lacy complaining, and Caius gives him a caution, but look at this.
He's got Lacy in trouble in the corner. Crowd exhorting Calzaghe. Lacy off balance, stumbled momentarily. A windmill by Calzaghe. What a barrage. Non-stop attack. Relentless by Calzaghe.
Listen to me. When you throw the jab, don't step so long. Step short and let the right hand go. You're smothering that right hand. Okay. Come on. You see how you was catching with the right hand and hold in? Yeah. Right.
Jeff, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. What day
Well,
today?
this was an interesting sequence. Jeff Lacy will throw the jab, and it will basically get in there, but he will pay for that. Nice jab, but guess, look what happened. Once he's inside, instead of him doing the good work, which is supposed to happen, it's Joe Calzaghe doing it. This was the most perilous moment of his pro career. Joe Calzaghe gets him in the corner, lands a couple of terrific straight left hands. The left hands that Lacy and his people said would be slapping, they were anything but. They were straight and they were powerful.
Well, Joe Calzaghe told us he likes guys coming right in, and I believe him.
Joe Calzaghe said to us, you know, I'm an unpredictable fighter. I can have an ordinary performance, then a great performance. You just never know. Well, guess what? Got a great one tonight.
And Calzaghe's corner was telling Joe to pace himself. Don't get over anxious, Al.
Good idea.
Round 8.
Look how Calzaghe's holding on to Lacy on the inside. He's done a great job of holding Lacy's left hand on the inside so he can't throw that hook.
The question coming in was, is Joe Calzaghe overrated? Can we now pose that question about Jeff Lacy, at least from what we've seen thus far?
Well, we have to say this. He's in against a guy that has 17 title defenses, who certainly has been the top of the super middleweight heat. So people may say that about Jeff Lacy, but we also have to acknowledge he's in with a very good fighter tonight. But the liabilities that Jeff has had, the defensive liabilities, have certainly reared their ugly head tonight.
No question about that midway through the 8th. Almost every punch by Calzaghe is connecting, is getting in.
All the things that worked for Lacy against left-handed Sid Vanderpool when he won the title, he has not been able to employ in this match against Calzaghe. And even though Calzaghe squared himself up on the inside, Steve, he has been a lefty on the outside, giving Lacy problems with that style.
What a furious pace by Joe Calzaghe, and remember, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning here in Manchester. Talk about being in condition.
So much for the issue that Calzaghe suggested about the time start. He's responding pretty well, I'd say.
Both Calzaghe and Lacy did road work. They trained in the middle of the night to get comfortable with this odd hour, and it looks to be paying off big time for Calzaghe.
And with a shutout in the 8th round, it is clear now that no matter what, Jeff Lacy needs a knockout or multiple knockdowns to win this fight.
This perhaps the farthest notion from the minds of so many people.
Yep.
As Calzaghe continues to score at will with that blurring hand speed.
Deep breath. Number 9. You gotta straighten that right hand out. You gotta straighten that right hand. Okay. Gentlemen, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Don't do it now.
Straight right, Jeff, everything okay? Yeah, I'm good.
Listen, don't jump in with the jab. Step with it and throw the straight right hand. Okay. Right on his chin. And then rip the body and bring your uppercuts.
These rounds have been mirror images of each other, and the uppercut, of course, has been a major weapon. But every variety of punch landing for Calzaghe, even the right hooks, which really weren't supposed to land a lot tonight against Lacy, have been there all night.
Calzaghe was tired of hearing about Lacy's power all week long. Lacy, remember, was the slight favorite coming in. But Joe Calzaghe has utterly dominated. A little problem with the tape on the right glove of Calzaghe. They tend to that. Enzo Calzaghe, a former singer-songwriter, the dad and trainer of Joe Calzaghe, a guy who toured with rock groups back in the late 60s and early 70s.
Perfect transition into boxing.
Absolutely. Calzaghe on the march again. Excuse me.
The last time Joe Calzaghe lost, to put this in perspective, was as an amateur in 1990. A long time ago. So he's a guy that wins. And so far, he's doing it tonight.
And of course, the last time Lacy lost, the 2000 Olympics. Joe Calzaghe, a 12-year pro, turned pro in 93. 40-0, 31 knockouts. 17 world title defenses, has reigned supreme since 1997. The longest reigning current world champion.
Now, one thing that has been on display is the toughness of Jeff Lacy. He has taken an amazing amount of punishment tonight. Not exactly the one attribute they'd like to have us see, but that toughness keeps him in the fight and hopes that he can find lightning in the bottle.
Jeff Lacy looks anguished. Frustrated beyond belief, missing wildly with the right. Calzaghe came in with a reputation of a good defense and showing it there. Eluding punches by Jeff Lacy, although that was completely telegraphed.
The hand speed that Calzaghe thought would be the difference in this fight, in fact, has been. And we've seen Lacy in recent fights throw many combinations and show his own hand speed, but tonight it is not there.
Punches again to the head by Calzaghe. You wonder, was Lacy overconfident? In addition to this performance by Calzaghe, who's now clowning around a little bit and taunting Lacy. It has come to that point. Who would have thought that Joe Calzaghe would have been this far ahead, this deep into the fight, where he's able to taunt Lacy?
And you know, that's an offshoot of what's led up to this fight. Lacy and his camp have been very, very direct in how they thought he would do, and I don't think Calzaghe liked it. Now he is showing his mettle.
A barrage by Calzaghe. Lacy able to get out of the corner, but that's about it. Not able to throw any punches, though, as he's tied up by Calzaghe. Calzaghe fighting such a smart fight. Punching when he has to, tying Lacy up when he has to. Staging a clinic.
Hold on.
Nice. Coming up,
Them
baby.
punches out, Jeff. Break them up. How you feel? I'm good. Suck on me.
Close your eyes.
Great punch.
Everything cool, gentlemen?
Yep.
On the inside, Joe Calzaghe has just been dominant, and then he gives himself punching room, which is very smart, doesn't smother his punches, and lands some tremendous straight left hands. You know, that kind of combination punching has been the hallmark of this fight for Joe Calzaghe. Not everything landing, but it's keeping Jeff Lacy at bay and making it impossible for him to launch his own attack. Look at the uppercut. So far back, Calzaghe's hands at his waist, and Jeff Lacy can't take advantage.
Things are getting very dramatic in the Lacy corner. Behind the corner, his legal advisor, Jim Wilkes, who was featured earlier in this broadcast, a father figure to Lacy, showing an amazing amount of concern from behind the Lacy corner, but he does not want to interfere. But you can almost read his mind. He doesn't want to see a guy who is like his son get punished.
About as difficult an evening for Jeff Lacy as anybody in his camp could imagine. No one really saw this coming.
It has been, oh, what a left uppercut by Joe Calzaghe right on the chin. What a punishing onslaught by Joe Calzaghe from the opening bell.
And the work rate of Joe Calzaghe remains the same, and that's important to note, because if there was some hope in the Lacy camp that he would tire, that's not happening. At least not so far.
Right punch, you go all together there. Come on.
Halfway through the 10th, scheduled for 12 for the IBF WBO Super Middleweight Championship. A title that is slipping away from the American Jeff Lacy.
Calzaghe has been 12 rounds 7 times. He is used to that distance, so it will not be strange for him to get to that 12th and keep up this work rate. He's done it before.
Lacy, but 3 times. Referee not mic'd up here by the Board of Controls locally here in the UK.
We're spoiled. We're used to hearing the referee.
Left-right combination to the head. Scores by Joe Calzaghe. They may not be the hardest punches, but they're getting through. And there's that beautiful shotgun jab by Calzaghe. And then a right-left combination by Joe Calzaghe. Relentless. Lacy off balance, plowing into the ropes. Blood streaking down from the right eye area of Jeff Lacy. His face battered. And he walks slowly to the corner at the end of the round.
Try to time him with that straight right hand, Jeff. All right. You've got to catch this guy. We've got to get this guy out of here. You're behind every round.
You got to, Mark. Okay. Keep your head up.
You get your distance with a little feeler jab. Use your jab as a radar. Let that power push go.
You got to go for broke.
What's on the ref? Are you giving him the...
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Come on.
We held 12 times.
Man, you holding, man. You gave him one warning.
Every time I start punching, he tell me to stop. That's a break.
I know it.
Jim Wilkes chatting with Lacy's promoter Gary Shaw a moment ago. Maybe telling Gary, you know what, I can't put words in his mouth, but maybe telling him, I've seen enough. Round 11. You could barely hear, look out as they come together, not a knockdown, a push. You can hear the corner of Jeff Lacy, you've got to go for broke.
You know, that little sequence, though, speaks volumes about this fight. They came together, and the balance of Lacy wasn't good, and the strength of Calzaghe was enough to push him down. That tells you who's in control of this fight.
And it is completely obvious what is needed here from Jeff Lacy.
And we heard Dan Birmingham say, you've got to get this guy out of here. That's the understatement of the decade.
With blood continuing to come down the face of Jeff Lacy, getting on the face of Joe Calzaghe and the back. As Calzaghe continues to be on the attack, comes forward, blood from the nose of Jeff Lacy, blood flying into the air when Lacy unleashes like something out of a Hollywood flick.
Well, Joe Calzaghe certainly can be in a prevent defense now. He has wrapped up certainly all of the rounds of this fight, I would think. So for him, it's about staying on his feet, not getting knocked out, and just getting to the end of this fight. Lacy landed a couple good shots there.
The tape is coming undone on Calzaghe's right hand. The right glove, they have to tend to that. Yeah, all Calzaghe has to do now is stay away and not do anything foolish. Because as we have both pointed out,
Start putting your combinations in. He's ready to go.
Lacy can turn it on one punch. So, but Calzaghe elects to come forward nevertheless. And he takes Lacy down to one knee. It's a push, no knockdown. There have been no knockdowns throughout the fight, but it has been utterly dominated by the Welshman as he continues to let fly.
This is truly a brilliant performance by Calzaghe. And it started early, and he has never let Jeff Lacy into this fight. He's done precisely what he told us he would do before the fight, Joe Calzaghe.
There have been some great super middleweights out of the UK. Chris Eubank, Nigel Benn, Steve Collins, Michael Watson. But I think you're looking at the best all time right here, Joe Calzaghe. He's on top of the leaderboard.
And of course, he beat Chris Eubank at the end of Eubank's career, toward the end, to win the title from him.
Right. He comes through, at least to this point, with the best performance of his career. Now, point taking a point, Calzaghe for a punch behind the back. That's what it looked like from Raul Caiz, Sr. And there's the bell to end the 11th. Joe Calzaghe picking the biggest fight of his career to have the best fight of his career.
Last out. He's going to stop now. He's going to stop now.
These two men looking very different and facing this last round with a very different mindset. Jeff Lacy has faced a lot of adversity before, but nothing like this. He needs a miracle to win this fight.
And that point deduction may be the only thing keeping Calzaghe from a shutout.
Jeff Lacy has had issues with so many different things. Now, exhaustion, balance, the strength of Calzaghe all sends him to the canvas. He's been down 4 or 5 times in this fight from pushes. Now, here's where we'll get the point deduction. Oh, I guess that was for the headlock of Lacy. I suppose there had been warnings before for holding to Calzaghe, but a point deducted. That was an odd move, I thought.
Here we go, 12th and final round, and it is obvious that Lacy needs a knockout to win this fight. He is so far behind. It's a virtual shutout for Joe Calzaghe. We need something very dramatic here in order to see a turnaround. But it's not the cards, according to Joe Calzaghe, who continues to let fly.
And say this about Joe Calzaghe. Instead of playing it safe, he's trying to build a legacy and go after Jeff Lacy.
That's why he's so popular here in the UK. A non-stop, relentless attack by Joe Calzaghe. He will not let Lacy breathe, and Lacy goes down for the first time in his career. He thought he was pushed. Jeff Lacy on unsteady legs, down for the first time in his pro career. Last time down to the amateurs. Calzaghe looking to end with a flourish, and now Lacy just hangs on. What a dreadful night for the American Jeff Lacy. And a spectacular night for the Welshman Joe Calzaghe. Calzaghe putting on an astounding show here in front of the local fans. It was supposed to be a career-defining fight, Al Bernstein, and I imagine that Joe Calzaghe likes the definition.
You know what's interesting? He resisted the idea leading up to this fight of absolutely declaring it that, but right now, you're right, he's more than happy to have it. This crowd is too.
And Calzaghe urging on the crowd. They love it. They love him. A little less than anticipated. They were hoping for 15, 16. Looks more like about 12. But Joe Calzaghe just doesn't stop.
He's redefined the landscape of this division and certainly changed the course of Jeff Lacy's career in the process, at least temporarily.
Seconds to go, and Calzaghe holds on, showing sportsmanship there with Lacy turned.
And in a few seconds, the super middleweight division will belong exclusively to the Europeans once again.
At 3:15 in the morning, Manchester time, it's all Joe Calzaghe as he embraces a stunned Jeff Lacy. And Joe Calzaghe with a very emotional moment as he drops to his back, gets hugged by his father, trainer Enzo. It is rare in a world title fight to see such utter domination as you saw here tonight by this man, Joe Calzaghe. Saluted by this crowd here in Manchester. A virtual shutout. Joe Calzaghe, Al, is now on another level.
He is indeed. He has cemented a legacy as one of the best super middleweights, if not the best of all time.
A long-term resident of the 168-pound division, unlike so many others in the past.
Jeff Lacy's never been down in his pro career until this point. Now, he was hit with a nice uppercut, a little bit of a push, but I think the uppercut may well have done the damage. And Raul Caez Jr. making the appropriate call, though clearly Lacy doesn't think so. Let's take a look again from another angle and see if it's the case. Well, no, I'll have to reverse that because that left uppercut hit the arms of Lacy. But it's academic, certainly, in how this fight will be scored, even though there'll be an extra point in this round. But Joe Calzaghe finishing strong, and give him all the credit in the world for taking chances in round 12, Joe Calzaghe, when he didn't need to. There was that right uppercut from way back with his hand low.
Jimmy Lennon Jr.
For boxing, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Nelson Vasquez scores about 119 to 105. Judges Adelaide Bird and Roy Francis both score with about 119 to 107. All